Yeah, when you say you've had Afghans that you brought allies, guys who've worked with us, special operations guys overseas, then you've brought them here, helping them seek asylum, and they too have then been targeted and killed.
Correct. Yes.
Who were they killed by? Is it the threat, I guess, if you will?
Yeah. Well, there's been numerous situations. Most of it has been, unfortunately, petty crime. We've had several Uber drivers killed, or or beat, those type of things. And then there have been some, within their communities. And the negative is we did bring in people we shouldn't have brought in, right? We've brought in war criminals, terrorists. Some of these communities are very difficult to be in, as you can imagine, because they know who each other is, right? And you really can't hide when you get into these immigrant communities, unfortunately, and people do get targeted.
Yeah, and they tend to kind of find the culture that they resonate with, and those Afghan communities become inundated with more Afghan community or Afghans, and then yeah, I guess in that there's little factions in there that could potentially put you at risk. Crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
The thing though the biggest risk though, unfortunately, is so they're getting identified in the United States, and then they're basically being targeted and lured back to Afghanistan. And it's different ruses, right? Like, we're going to marry off a family member of yours to a terrorist. A lot of their wives and children are still in in Afghanistan. The United States haven't finished the processing yet. It's a huge mess. So they're luring them back to Afghanistan because bad actors in America know they're here, they identified them, and now they're blackmailing them, bringing them back, they're kidnapping them, torturing them, and then they're saying, hey, when you return to the United States, you now work for us, you follow our orders, or we'll kill your entire family in Afghanistan. It's a very, very dangerous situation that people are ignoring. And it's a huge threat to our ally community.
absolutely. I'd never heard any of this before. I do know several other guys who have organizations that are helping bringing some of our allies back and getting them in through the asylum process. I do know one of the lawyers that I interviewed here. He asked for my assistance, so I would love to send you his information. Maybe you can help him with the same thing process. He's working with several Afghans that he's trying to get in. What is the vetting system that you guys use currently to make sure that you're bringing allies that have good intentions?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously only help allies who I personally know, or who were like the wife or spouse or family members of Americans. So those are the ones I have assisted. So obviously, pretty much pre-vet. Most of them had homes in America. The sad part is it was summer in Afghanistan, and so a lot of women and children went back to their homeland of Afghanistan, or at least where their parents were from, to visit the grandparents for the holiday. And then the men were here, obviously still working in America. So a lot of people who got left behind in Afghanistan were women and children. That's ignored completely. I had like 2 women and 8 children, all Americans, blue passport holders from Chicago. And I had to get them flown out on a private plane from a company down here in Tampa called Project Dynamo. And basically the CEO of it went over there himself and got them for me and put them on a plane. I mean, it was that bad that we had to have private American citizens go in and get these actual Americans.
Yeah, I've never heard that. So because of the season, the men stayed back and the women, or the men stayed home to work and the women went back to visit. And
Like the grandparents. Yep.
Yeah, I never heard that story. That's crazy. Yeah, I know that there's a lot of friends, coming from the special operations community. A lot of guys worked with, allies out there that needed some assistance, and I know several guys, who went out there and have assisted since. So with our Mexican American border, the big threat for me is because like I said, I see on both sides as well. I'm empathetic towards it all. I understand it all. At the same time, like someone who's done tours overseas, seen really bad dudes, know the potential and the connections from a lot of those guys from overseas who are the connections to people here in America, knowing some of the threats that have been stopped before it even happened. Then you see what's happening currently on our borders, and knowing that the massive influx of, let's just say Chinese nationals currently, there's a massive influx of Chinese nationals, but not even that. They're shedding their documents, right? They're throwing them to the wayside. They're hiding their identities. And then it raises the question is why? And so those are a lot of the things that I'm seeing currently and what we've been getting reports from people that we interview. And that raises a question, that raises some fears, but I don't know how realistic those fears are. And I'm curious to know, maybe in your opinion, maybe from your expertise, what you think.
Sure. I mean, I think if we, put things in different classes, right? So obviously the China thing is a strategic threat, right? It's, you know, it's the fact that those persons have a loyalty to their country, and if they get called upon, they will serve their country, right? I think that's the biggest fear with Chinese, and really one of the biggest problems with them is numerous countries have no requirements